Hello, everybody. This is Ivan Stano speaking. I'll be your host today, and welcome to the Field Service 2.0 training. So before we get there, let me introduce the trainers. Today, I'm going to be joined by several colleagues of mine who have played an active part in putting the structure, content, and the demos together. It's Marian and Matej from the IT support team. It's Lucas, who's the head of the support team, and myself, the evangelist at Resco. So that you know, you're all in the listen-only mode, so we can't really hear you. But I really would like to encourage you to post your questions, comments, feedback, or thoughts in the GoToWebinar application. Also, I would like to remind you to go to the handouts where I put all the slides that I will go over today, and you'll have the opportunity to look through those and some resources that we involved and included on the slide deck. What we prepared for this week is a series of 3 days. We know there's a lot to cover when it comes to Resco technology, and especially our product or program for Dynamics 365 Field Service. So we decided to divide all the topics into 3 days. Day one, that's today. It will start with describing what Field Service 2.0 program is, a little bit about the architecture of solution, what are the different components and what people can use. Then we'll talk a little bit about UI and design and how we can beautify the mobile application so that the users enjoy it even more. We'll explain the concept of application project, how to configure the project and how to deliver the changes, the customizations and configurations onto the mobile devices. And time permitting, we would also love to cover Resco routes. Day two, tomorrow, we'll focus more on Resco inspections and reports. And we finish it off with combining everything together and provide a very comprehensive demo experience that will cover a typical day in life of a service technician. Day three, very intriguing topic. My colleagues spent a lot of time testing the Resco application compared to the performance of the new Field Service Mobile based on the Power App technology. And this day will be dedicated to covering the outcomes, the results, and everything that we found is relevant to the users who are considering Power App as their next Field Service mobile application. So today, it should be pretty sweet and have a good flow. I got an information from my colleague that you can hear me okay and the screen can be seen. So let's dive right into it. So first of all, we get a lot of questions about, oh, what does that really mean, Field Service 2.0? Or questions like, what's the role of Resco now that Microsoft is pushing their own Power application? What's the future of the so-called Xamarin application? What should we as customers do? Or what we partners should do, how we could do, what we should recommend to our customers, what should the story be? So first of all, and I want to make it very clear, our main goal as Resco is to contribute the best we can to the success of Microsoft Dynamics 365 and with the Field Service 2.0 product to the Dynamics 365 Field Service. Resco and Microsoft has signed a special deal more than 2 years ago where we provide Resco technology to Microsoft. So Microsoft OEMs our technology for building the mobile client for the field service management product and customers. And I believe most of you heard that in June next year, Microsoft will stop supporting that application and that whole solution. So think of it as a way of saying, yeah, we believe that the Power App is powerful enough and the Resco application will not be supported anymore. At the same time, we talked to a lot of customers and a lot of partners, and we see that there's still a big demand for all the goodies that the Resco brings to the table. But I want to make it perfectly clear, We at Resco, we never compete against Microsoft. We compete with Microsoft to make sure that we're providing the best experiences to all of the customers who are on the Dynamics platform. There could be a different answer what Field Service 2.0 program really is. And if you look at it from the point of view of different modules and functionality and what we learned over the years we've been in business, what's really bringing a lot of value, it's really three main components that most of the customers need when they're building their robust mobile solution. And that's what Field Service 2.0 program is really based on. First of all, it's multi-experience first. Resco technology has since the very early days been developed and designed on supporting mobile devices, various mobile devices from smartphones, tablets, and later on wearable devices as well, such as smartwatches, smart glasses, AR, VR headsets, etc. That's why we call it multi-experience. And that's our main domain. That's where technology, our Resco technology feels at home. We're combining it with Resco Inspections, which is a technology that allows for creating different types of dynamic questionnaires for either quick data input. So if you need to collect data, it's a great tool. If you need to create instruction types of experiences, so a step-by-step process to walk your users through even the most complex tasks, that's a great fit as well. And the third component is Resco routes, because naturally most of Resco's users are mobile, they travel, they visit customers, they visit different sites, etc. So being able to really behave in the field the best they can is crucial. And we put these three modules together, combine them to create a perfect experience for the field service customers. The third answer to the question what Field Service 2.0 is could be a very simple one. Field Service 2.0 is a great continuation for all the existing Dynamics Field Service customers who are not ready to switch something new or something that they don't feel super comfortable with yet. So we offer all of these customers to stay on the Resco technology, proven by hundreds and hundreds of customers all around the world and proven by some of the most demanding and most complex projects that we've seen. At the same time, Field Service 2.0 is a great alternative for all new customers who find some limitations, roadblocks, or maybe dead ends with the new Power App and are looking for a more robust solution. So we believe we're a great fit for both. So that was it. Hopefully it makes a little bit more sense what Field Service 2.0 is. And also it should kind of outline what we're going to cover in the next 45 minutes. So let's start with the autopsy of a Resco-based solution. So if you're asking the question, what's really the architecture of the solution? What are the building blocks? What we can count on? So first of all, it's a mobile application. If you're familiar with the Microsoft's Xamarin solution or the Resco-based one that is provided as part of the license, field service license, it was the different types of applications that Microsoft released and published to the app stores, and they're all based on the Resco technology. Some of you might remember the truck application I put there. The most recent one is at the top, the clipboard with the little wrench. So there are multiple types of applications. And of course, we at Resco, we have our own applications on the App Store as well, the Resco Mobile CRM or the Inspections app. The second part of the solution is application project. And what that really is, I'll explain in just a moment, but application project is really all the definition of what's included and shown in the application to the users. So the application project combines the experience, the data, the functionality, the features that are in the app. And the last piece is the toolkit. Many of you know it under the name Woodford, but it's became much more robust. It became much more much stronger in terms of what capabilities it delivers, because it now includes Woodford as one of the components to define and configure the application project. But it now also includes inspections, location monitor, report designer, and synchronization dashboard. And I'll show you that in just a moment. So all of these things together create the Resco solution. It's the application installed on the mobile device. It's the application project that is applied for the application and can handle and really contain all the definitions, and the toolkit where the definitions are created using all of the different designers. If you'd like to find out a little bit more about the mobile options for Dynamics 365 Field Service, I encourage you to go to this link at YouTube. It's a webinar that actually I hosted, and I explain all the different options, the differences, what the current situation is, etc. We also put together a blog post to outline the key differences between Resco Field Service 2.0 and Microsoft Dynamics 365 Field Service Mobile. So if you go to a Resco blog, you can learn a little bit more about that as well. Okay, so let's move on a little bit. And I promise that I'll try to explain the concept of application projects a little bit more. So as we already talked about, the application project is a definition of all the configurations and all the little pieces that are included in the application. It can be from very simple stuff such as the color scheme, the icons, some of the labels, what's included on the home screen, etc., to even more complex things as we fully support JavaScript. That means you can bring your custom code into the mobile solution from Resco and inject that mobile application project with JavaScript. So really, the application project carries all of that. And when we partnered with Microsoft 2 years ago, Microsoft created their own field service project, the default project that all of the field service customers are getting. And this project is used by hundreds of customers around the world. It includes a lot of custom pieces, custom code, and it's, of course, optimized for the field service functionality. At the same time, we at Resco, we created a field service project, a default project. Please let me know in the comments if you'd like to check it out. We'll be more than happy to make it available to all of you, where we took the base of the Microsoft Field Service default project, but also added and applied a lot of improvements. Things like we added the inspections functionality, we added the routes functionality. We really played a lot more with the UI and design of the project to make it more appealing and stuff like that. And it's available to anybody who's interested in trying that out. And at the same time, for those of you who are familiar with the Woodford tool, you probably know that when you're creating a new application project within the Woodford tool, there's a lot of existing templates that we put together so that when you're configuring the mobile application, you don't have to start from scratch. So it would be things like extended project, very simple one, a project for inspectors, etc. If you're interested about finding more about the application projects, we have a great resource called Resco Wikipedia or Resco Wiki, and part of it is the whole chapter that focuses on application projects. So let's now start with the first big topic, and that's the UI and design possibilities. So if you will, there's a lot of feedback that we gained over the years talking about, yeah, the Resco application, the functionality is great, but maybe the UI and design, there's some room for improvement. And we're listening to this feedback very thoroughly, and we're trying to make sure that we give you, our customers and partners, options how to improve that UI and that design. It's kind of hard for us to force the changes because we have a lot of customers who stay with us for years. Literally, we have customers who use Resco for 7, 8, even 9 years. That's not an exception. So forcing a change on these guys would be pretty brutal. But we're building a lot of building blocks and designers to help with that task. So let me first show you a little bit of what I was talking about, and then we'll focus on the UI and design possibilities. So I'll switch here to my browser, and what you see is a sandbox environment. It's a Dynamics 365 field service organization. And right here, I'm in the applications section. Few things here that I was describing before, so you can actually see what it's about. After a successful installation of the Resco solution file, you can see the Resco suite as part of my published applications. If I click on it, I'm taken to that environment right here. And the Resco suite consists of 6 different modules. So Woodford, that's the tool to configure the application and manage the application projects. We have the whole inspections functionality, including the designer, dashboards, results viewers, schedule board, etc. We have the location tracking and location monitor that I'll show you towards the end of the training. And we have some other tools as well, such as the report designer that we'll talk about tomorrow, mobile auditing, and sync dashboard. But let me go to the Woodford tool first, and I opened it up here to save a few moments. And this is how the Woodford tool looks like. It's an HTML-based application running directly within Dynamics. And at the top of the screen in the ribbon, I have some options how to manage my projects. I can create new ones. I can import or export the application projects from different environments, etc. And on the left-hand side, I have the administration menu. So at the very top, I have access to all the application projects. As you can see here in the center of the screen, there's quite a lot of different ones that we've created on top of this organization. And the one that we're going to use today, I just called it the FS 2.0 training. And it's an active one in use and available for all the users. That's why it has the little green sign. If you want to create a new one, you just click on the new. Here is the gallery of the templates that I was talking about to save you some time, and you just follow a few steps there. So if I open up the application project FS 2.0 training by double clicking it, now I'm within the designers that help me to define the content and all within the application project. What I can control is actually here on the left-hand side. And we divided all these blocks into certain categories, such as components. The very first one you can see at the top of the screen, that's the home screen. So all the items I have on the home menu. Several other stuff as well. And I promise to focus on the design and UI. So we have created a specific category called the design. And this actually helps me to change a few things. Things like branding, so all the major labels in the application, such as the manufacturer, title, and things like that. Probably simplistic. One thing I would love to point your attention to is the support email field. So if there's something that goes wrong in the application, or your users, your colleagues are experiencing some issues, it's good to ask them to send an error log from the application. It's in the about section of the app, and you can predefine that support email right here. So if you want to send it to us, you type mobile CRM at resco.net there. If you prefer to send it to your IT team, you can put your email right there and just save it. So things like that, very simple. On the other hand, we also have the themes. So the option to really play with the color palette and the presets of the application. Here we have the section called Appearance at the very top of the screen. What this does is you have the custom home, which means you can customize just the home screen of the application to look a little bit different from the rest of the application. Then you have a section called Icon Pack, which means you can create your own icons, and we have pre-configured and preloaded 2 different categories, modern and Scandinavian, and then just the default. Those are the icons that you can see on the home screen on the left-hand side, or on the view, as well as elsewhere in the application, like the tabs at the bottom. And what we also did, we preloaded a color scheme. So if I change it to modern, you'll see it will change a little bit here. Not sure this is the best one, but I'll let you be the judge. Or Scandinavian, that will bring some light colors, and it will change everything in the application as well. But let's just go with the default and keep it this way. You can also switch between the phone view and tablet view to actually have a better understanding of how it's going to look when it's launched on the mobile device. And what's even better, you can mix and match your colors here on the colors list. So if you want to create something very specific that follows your company colors and things like that, you can definitely do that as well. We also have section images, where you can bring your own images that you want to use across the application, and those icons, etc. As you can see, we put a lot of them here, and they're available right within the mobile project. And the last piece is the localization. So if you want to support different languages in the application, this is the way to do it. And naturally, we bring all the languages from Dynamics. And out of the box, I think we support up to 20 different languages in the application, including simplified Chinese, including Japanese, and including Hebrew that reads right to left. So that's the design part. Really simple stuff, but I always encourage people to spend a little bit of time in making sure that the application looks good, the colors match, and they're easy on the eye, etc. If you'd like to learn more about it, about the concept of themes, there's a great chapter about that in the wiki. For those of you who want to dive even deeper and provide custom layer, we have integration with Adobe XD. We created a plugin where you can design in Adobe XD your design of the application, and then just upload it into the Woodford tool and the application project. And some more information about how we redesigned the Field Service 2.0 application project can be found on our blog. Okay, so I know so far still easy stuff. If you have questions, don't forget to post it. We'll be more than happy to check them out. And now we turn the wheels a little bit, and I'll show you how we can add a new entity into the mobile application. So let's go back to the Woodford tool, and let's go down here, and I have section called entities here. What this actually does, it allows me to see all the entities that are part of Microsoft Dynamics, and also those that are already part of the application project. So as you can see, Woodford, because it's a solution file that sits within Dynamics, it's metadata driven. So I have all the information about the entity structure, etc. And because I'm using an existing application project, some of the entities are included out of the box, such as account, activity, and several others. So that's why they're shown in full color. But there's a lot of entities that are available on the Dynamics side, and those are shown here, but they're grayed out. So if we want to add a new entity, let's say competitor. I look it up here, and then I click right there. And what I can do now is I have options to set up the entity details. So that would be things like, first of all, I can enable it to make it part of the application project. Once done, I can save it. Very important, especially if you have a lot of data within your entity, is to define a synchronization filter so that you're not synchronizing the whole entity onto your mobile device, and you can create different types of conditions and links and ors, etc., or you can create your XML file that defines the filter and import it through here. Then you have options to really create a profile about how this entity is going to behave. First and foremost, every application project is assigned to a specific security role, and all the permissions and rights of the Dynamics security role applies for the application project, and that way the mobile user as well. However, you can make it even stricter. We have the options to define read, write, create, delete permissions. You can also define the mode, whether the data within the competitor entity is going to be available online and offline or online only. You can define the synchronization and even the conflict strategy. Underneath, I have list of fields. So here I can include some of the fields that I would like to use for the competitor in the app. Let's say I'll put street, maybe zip code, maybe state, and maybe that's good. So I'll save that change. And what's even better, the Resco technology allows you to control the permissions at the field level. So here, if I select city, I have very granular access to what the users can create, update, or just read. And I'm pretty much done on the data side. What I can now switch to is the UI, because once we add a new entity, we also want to make sure that the records are shown nicely in the mobile app. And to do that, we have to create two UI elements or two UI blocks. The first one is a view. The good thing is that if you have existing views in Dynamics, you can just simply import them from your Dynamics into Resco. Or if you want to be a little bit more fancy, you can create a new one from scratch. And again, we're trying to make it very easy and fast. So we have some templates already predefined. So let me show you how it looks like. What we're designing is one row of a mobile view. So at the top of the row, I'll have the name of the competitor, and underneath I have two little cells. What I can do, I can add some of these fields that we added on my designer. And then when I highlight the empty cell, I can double click the field. So I can add their city, and maybe to this one, I'll add a country. But you also have full manual access to this, so you can drag and drop these fields onto your designer and play with a lot of properties to make sure it's nicely aligned, anchored, the color is nice, and things like that. But for the purposes of making it work, I think this is enough. As you can see at the top of the screen, lots of options about filtering, sorting, search, applying a different design, and even defining the rules in a script kind of way, scripting language to define additional performance and actions on top of the mobile view. And when we're done, I just hit save and close. So we've done the mobile view. What I'll do next is I'll create a new form. And this is my form designer. If I click on the white canvas, I can bring some details here. So maybe under the name, I'll add there a spacer to put some additional space. I'll put the created on field and modified on field. Then I would like to have a new tab So what I'll do is click on add detail, sorry, and I'll rename it. I'll call it address. Click on the white canvas, and now I'll bring all the fields that define the address. So city, country, state, street, and zip code. And maybe I'm thinking I should reorder them a little bit. Zip code, that's good. Maybe add some of those spacers again. There we go, to make it look a little bit better. Awesome. And what I'll do as well, I add some lists. So I'll have the nodes, the annotation entity, in case I want to have access to some nodes right here. And as you can see, I have some other options here as well, inspections, connections, etc. Of course, you can be very creative here, from things like adding an iframe to adding a map component, media component, chat wall, things like that on the form to bring a lot of functionality. And then we also support the rules and commands, different triggers here. When you're creating a rule, it can be based on onload, on change, or on save triggers. Similar the commands, where you can define the behavior of the form. One simple example I like to give is, if you don't want to overwhelm your users with too many fields when they're creating new records, for example, you can only show additional fields based on their previous answers. So that would be an on change rule as an example there. Okay, but we're done here with this simple form. So I hit save and close. So as you can see, what we did, we went to the competitor entity. We added it into our mobile project. So we enable it. We picked some fields, and then we created a mobile view and mobile form. And now to make it appear in the application, we have to do two more things. First of all, I'll go back to the home screen. And what I need to do is bring the competitor entity onto the home screen so that I can access it. So I'll find it here on the left-hand side and just very simply drag and drop it here. I save that change. And what I'll do now is click the publish button. This application project is now being published within a custom entity in Microsoft Dynamics 365 Field Service. And to get it to my mobile device, that's actually pretty simple. As soon as the publish is done, there we go. I can switch to my application. You can see it right here. No competitors here on the home menu yet. So what I have to do is just simply synchronize the application with the same Dynamics server. And just like that, you can see the competitors have appeared right here. If I click there, I have one that I created. So that's my view. And this is my form, the summary, the address, and the annotation entity that we added right here. Mind the spacers that we added there to create a little bit of a separation between the two, between some of the fields. And here's that simple view. So as you can see, adding a new entity or table into the application project is pretty simple. It requires few minutes of your work, and I know we went through it pretty quickly, but it didn't take us more than 10 minutes altogether, including all the explanation. And what's great, Resco supports all of the system entities, just like your custom entities as well. So you can add anything into the mobile app. If you'd like to find out more about the concept of the entity and what's possible and what you can do with it, there's a chapter on Resco Wikipedia about it that covers it in a lot of detail. And I see we're slowly running out of time, but I would love to cover one more topic, and that's Resco routes, and then make sure that we'll open it up for questions as well. So what we did was explain the concept of what Resco Field Service 2.0 is. And if you remember the beginning of the session, we went through the idea of multi-experience or mobile-first technology, then the concept of inspections, and the third one was the routes. And inspections we'll cover in a lot of detail tomorrow. But what we'll try to cover in the next 5-6 minutes is routes. So that's the third component or third product, which is part of the Field Service 2.0. And what routes really does is it provides value to all users and companies who spend a lot of time outside visiting people, customers, accounts, sites, etc. Resco Routes comes in two experiences. One is part of the mobile application and brings a lot of value to the user who actually travels and goes from place to place. And I'll show you a demo in just a moment. And then it also adds a lot of value to the back office people or the office people, right? Because it enables you to provide the location tracking. It provides you the option to monitor where your users are, where your trucks are, right? And things like that. So you know where your valuable assets are at any given moment. And some of the very frequent requirement is also to enable the geofencing functionality. So for all of these purposes, Route is a great fit. And because we at Resco love to keep improving things, earlier this year, we released a new version or an upgrade to Routes called Routes AI that brings even more to the table, and that more is defining the opening hours of certain businesses so that when you're scheduling your day or planning your day within the mobile app, you don't arrive there 20 minutes after the business was closed and things like that. But also we're adding the option to lock certain appointments or certain items on your tour plan to make sure that these stay locked in and are not moved in time, especially if you have a somebody who can only do it within certain time window. So enough talking. Let's look at the demo, and it's going to cover two pieces. So let's first start with the mobile application again. So within the mobile app on my mobile device, the second item from the top of the screen, you can see it's called My Route. And what's beautiful about the route functionality in Resco is that it actually combines the calendar, or in my case, the bookings, the first item, with my route and tour plan. So if I go quickly to the calendar, you can see that for today, I have 3 appointments, or in my case, 3 bookings scheduled, right? I can change them in a day view, week view, month view as well. But pretty much today I have to go to 3 different places. I can tap on each and get more familiar with it, of course, because everything is interactive. But when I'm ready to hit the road and start driving, I can go to my route. And this is the concept of routes and navigation in the application, the experience for the mobile user. And what it actually does for me as a user, it combines the map view that you can see right now. I'm based just outside of Boston, and my appointments are in Seattle area. So it would be kind of a trip for me. But you can see the little details here are numbered 1, 2, 3, and they're shown with that blue bubble. There are 3 because those are the 3 bookings I showed you on the other screen just a few moments ago. So if there's a new one that shows up in your calendar, it's added on your map and tour plan automatically, and vice versa as well. The blue line here shows me how I can get from my current location to the final location there, and we can also add the office location if that's preferred as well. And if you want to see the details, all I have to do is tap on the bottom of the screen where we roll out an improved tour plan. You can see that if you're familiar with we're familiar with the old version, we improved the UI a little bit. And I can see my start and end location at the top and bottom of that screen. It's currently set as current location, but I can easily change it to my home address, maybe my office address, etc., depending where I start or end my day. And then the 3 bookings are shown in the center of the screen. At the very bottom, we also put information about some summaries. So in my case, I would have to cover more than 6,000 miles, which I know it's crazy because it would take me almost 90 hours to do that. And if you're thinking, okay, pretty nice, but nobody's going to use this as a navigation when they actually drive, we thought about that as well. So what I can do, I can send this whole tour plan, the 3 stops, into Google Maps by tapping on the little button in the right upper corner. If I do that, this is pushed to Google Maps, and this will probably take a little while because it's a long trip. But if I zoom into the Seattle area in Google Maps, you'll see those three stops right here, A, B, C. And if I hit the start button, as will be a pretty familiar experience for all of you who use Google Maps in the car. If your car has Apple CarPlay or Android Auto support, you can even run it in your on your dashboard. So just like that, I have the routes functionality right here, but that's just one part of it, right? The other part is for the office people, and let's look at that a little bit now. So first of all, I'm gonna stay within the Woodford tool, and I have the section here called Map and Routes, and part of it is route plan. And I can open up the route plan right here, the existing one in default, and it gives you the option to really define what type of activities are gonna be applicable for the route plan. So in my case, it's bookable resource booking, but it can be any other entity as well. It could be appointment, it can be a task, it can be a meeting, or it can be something very custom as well. We've seen a lot of things over the years. And you can define the start and end fields, related entity, if you want to show it on in the view only mode and things like that. So a lot of things here. As part of it, you can enable the Routes AI, the new functionality, and you can also bring some fields and source views as well. So this really gives you options to define the route plan, define the work location, as I mentioned, if you always start your day from the office and things like that. Pretty simple. We also have the option of location tracking. So if it's important for you in the office to understand where people are, you have the option to set up the location tracking, and we know it can be a very sensitive thing depending on the country where you live or the company culture and things like that. So we spent some time to invest into trying to give you some options how to minimize the times when you're tracking your people and their devices. So you can define the business hours, the business days. Also, something to really consider is how frequently you want to collect the information about the GPS position. The shorter the time, the more battery draining it is. And I always suggest, yeah, does it make sense to request position every minute, or is it okay to maybe check on the position every 5 minutes, 10 minutes, something like that. But lots of power here that allows you to set this up. And as part of Routes AI, the new functionality that we added a little earlier this year, you can define the opening hours. So if you only want the trips to be scheduled when you're optimizing the route within certain time window, you can define the entity. So in my case, account with my customers, and just like that, I can define what time they're working and what time their business is open. I can duplicate it for all the other days, just like here. But if there are any differences, I can do that as well. And when I'm done, I can just save that. So pretty simple, but pretty powerful. I can save it. And the last piece before I open it up for questions is I'll show you the location monitor. Let me just refresh this. And this is the visualization of what you can see if you want to about where the people are. So what I have 4 really good friends who've been driving around Boston since early morning and trying to get to all of these points on the map as scheduled. And the location monitor allows me to see exactly where they've been the whole morning. So I have this time shift functionality that I can move around to see how they were progressing through the day. I can see where they were at, let's say, 10:30. I can see the green guy, Boris, was on the way, while Myra was already at the location here, the Crown Business Center, and Medford was visiting Buter's buildings, arrived actually at 10:18, so just 3 minutes after the scheduled time, which is perfectly fine. So it gives you this really nice granular view of all the people and their location. If you want to focus on specific person, like let's say Roland, I can just click on Roland and it gives me a nice focused view of where Roland is, what time he started his trip and where he was, where he is right now, how much time he covered driving, and what distance he covered as well. And underneath, I have a nice list of an overview of how successful he is with completing his schedule and the scheduled booking. So I can see he completed the one here, completed the other one here. This one was canceled, and this one he's actually working there. He's at 4% of his job. So a simple little tool that allows you to see your people out in the field and understanding where they are, how quickly they're progressing through the day, and giving you a lot of valuable data and records about how much time your people are spending driving, how much time they're spending at the actual site, and what mileage they're covering every day. So with that, I would like to go back to the slides and just tell you that if you want to learn more about the routing functionality, the route plan, the routes AI, etc., you can find more information on Resco Wiki. And with that, I see we have just about little less than 10 minutes left. So I would love to open it up for your questions. To pose the questions, please feel free to use the GoToWebinar application where you can type them in. I see Tom Morgan is here. Hi, Tom. Good to see you virtually. And if you have any other questions, please feel free to post them here. We have a question from Mark about the opening hours. And the question is, do we allow to define the hours for each service location if desired? And Mark, this is an excellent question that I actually thought about it as well, because I can only define the entity there, but not the actual record. So to be perfectly honest, I'm not 100% sure, but if I have some of my colleagues here who would like to pick that question, feel free to chime in. Otherwise, I'll circle back with my colleagues from the product team to find out more about how we can define opening hours for individual service locations or accounts or any other record in general.
Hi everyone, this is Lukáš from Resco. Ivan, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Am I audible?
Yes.
Okay, great. So the answer to Mark's question, so is there a possibility to define opening hours for each record? Yes, it is possible. So you define the entity which holds your visiting records. And there in that opening hour window, you could see there was an option to define a field. So in this field, you can, on that entity, of course, you can define opening hours for any record that you want. And for records that don't have this specifically set up, it will use that default opening hours. So that field name under the custom opening hours, that's where you select your field under the entity, in this case account, where you can specify the actual opening hours of that specific record.
Perfect, Lukasz. Thank you. And I hope you can still see the screen. So yeah, I found it as Lukasz was describing it. So if you have custom opening hours, there's that field that you can mark here, and it will take into the consideration the particular opening hours. Perfect. Thank you, Lukasz. Okay, we have some more questions coming in. The next one from Martin. Is this version of Field Service 2.0 available without using the Dynamics ERP? Theoretically, yes, Martin. So Resco offers the products even without the need to have Dynamics in place. But to be honest, in this case, we're taking a lot of functionality and logic from Dynamics Field Service. So that's the primary intention, to plug it into Dynamics and take advantage of all the field service functionality that the Microsoft team put together. But a similar version could be used without Dynamics as well, which is the standalone Resco Field Service cloud solution. Let me know if you know more details about that. We can definitely connect afterwards. Okay, more questions. Rasmus, question on processes. Lukasz?
Yeah, I would like to answer that. Yeah, sure.
I'll just read the question so that everybody understands,
sure.
and then we can take it. Are you considering making related entities a possibility? My use case is on bookable resource booking. I would like to use the booking status as a process. The problem is that booking status is an entity for itself, and hence I can't add that process to my bookable resource booking.
That's actually a nice question. This will definitely need to come through our product team. But as a workaround, I would say that the only way how you can do that is actually creating a custom field as an option set that will basically reflect the actual booking status. So having a server workflow, or for example, a rule that will basically check the booking status record and assign that status to that option set field on bookable resource booking, and use this as a process. So yeah, it's not probably the easiest way, but it's definitely a viable way if you need to do it now. So definitely, if you are more interested in this, we can go offline and just contact our support, and we can discuss it further.
Perfect. Thank you, Lukasz. We have another question, and I will need your help. The question is from Gary. Can the map site name be displayed in local language?
I'm not completely sure what is meant by the map site name.
So maybe, Gary, if you don't mind elaborating a little bit on that, we would appreciate that. And we'll take the question either offline or try to get to you before we run out of time. There's another one also about opening hours from Yero, and I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. If opening hours are logged in Dynamics on the order, can you import them in Resco app?
Currently, only if you will use order as your basically work location, or instead of appointments or at other activities. But this is not actually the best way. I would say at this point you will need to somehow put the address from the the opening hours from the order into your customer record, or the record that is used as the source for the route planner.
Understood. Martin, you're welcome. Gary added some more context to his question. So he means like in Hebrew, for example, right? So like a different language.
Yeah, but do you mean, just like Mariusz said, there is one more basically additional like default work location? It is possible to have something on that map to be localized, but I would say that we will contact you, Gary, by email, probably tomorrow, sorry, and we can elaborate further on what exactly did you mean on which map item or site you meant to localize.
I can try to answer Marius's question, if that's fine. And I think, Lukasz, under your supervision, I think that is possible. So if you go, Marius, in your application to the routes section and the tour plan, you can see the start location is right now set as current location. But if I tap on that, it gives me the option to set a starting point. So if I click on plus, I can start typing my address and it will be stored as a custom start location. So it gives you the option to create one for you within the mobile app. Would you agree with that, Lukasz?
Just like to add, yeah, sure, definitely. But this is more like a custom starting point for the actual user. But I think Mariusz meant a default work location for all users, basically, or for the project. And this is also possible in the route plan in the project. So basically in Woodford, you can define the default work location. So if you go, Ivan, to route plan, and there is the default work location, so you can specify the actual position, and this will be used as a work location for all users using this particular project.
Perfect. And I know we're getting a little over time, but we have quite a few more questions, but maybe we can take one more from Mohammed. Is it possible to install Field Service 2.0 on Dynamics 365 on-prem without installing Dynamics 365 Field Service app? Considering the discontinuation of the Field Service on-prem later next year, is it possible to install Field Service 2.0 on Dynamics on-prem without installing? Yes, so the answer is yes. So we at Resco, we support on-prem just like online or partner hosted. So I don't see any reason why this shouldn't work for the on-prem customers. We actually have still quite a lot of customers using Resco technology with their Dynamics 360 Dynamics on-premise installations. So definitely possible. Time will tell how much of the cool new functionality that Dynamics team will be adding to their online-only version of Dynamics 365 Field Service will be able to use, since that won't be available for the on-prem. But in general, yes, we support on-prem. And I think with that,
I would just add that you will still need to have the field service installed as a server-side extension of Dynamics. So if we are talking about the mobile app, then yes, of course, just like Ivan said, but you still need to have the field service and the required entities available on Dynamics backend.
Perfect. And I think with that, we answered all of them. There's a lot of thank you answers then. So thank you, Lukasz, and thank you everybody for joining us today. I know it was a lot, but feel free to download the handouts from GoToWebinar application. You have all the slides that we went through today available right there with links to the additional resources. And for those of you who will be joining us tomorrow, same time, but different topics, especially inspections and routes, and then we'll tie it all together with the day in the life of a technician. That's what we'll cover tomorrow. So Thanks a lot, everybody. Thank you, Lukasz, for answering all the questions, and I hope to see you tomorrow.